Welcome to another edition of Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement. I'm here at the News Forum where all voices matter. Our guest today is Lorne Sugarman. He is the CEO of Metaverse Group, which, amongst other things, is a virtual land company. We'll explore this strange new world with him and where it might be going. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here and be here with your listeners and watchers. Really excited to chat about this new area, for lack of a better way of saying it today.
It certainly is a new area. So first, tell us, I just want to give people a bit of a context about your joining with Metaverse. How did this all come about? Where were you before, and how did you get to where you are?
Sure. So strangely enough, I'd say this all began, call it the mid-90s, when I was a technology banker at a firm called GMP Securities, now owned by Stifel. And I fell in love with technology back in those days, but I got to see the evolution of the internet and work on some amazing transactions here in Canada. And through that, I fell in love with it. I left investment banking probably about 10 years ago. I ran a health services business, health tech enabled business for a number of years. And then I sold that last summer. And one of my friends, who was a former partner of mine from the banking days, reached out and said, "What do you know about the metaverse?" And I'm like, other than, watching Ready Player One with my 13-year-old son who loved it, I don't really know much. And so I spent some time learning about it and teaching myself and talking to my colleague, Andrew, who's now our chairman. And ultimately, as it came to place, I joined as CEO last October, and it's been amazing. It's every entrepreneurial / tech dream that you could have.
It sounds like it. So can you break down the basics of Metaverse, small m, I guess, for our viewers? What is this, and why is it a commercial opportunity?
So, the metaverse has been around, I'd say, for quite a while. It began with Second Life. I don't know how many years ago Second Life emerged. I can't remember off the top of my head, but quite a while ago. And then we've seen it today, with Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite, among Roblox, obviously, amongst others. And I guess with a 13-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter, I've had a chance to see that evolution and see how they play and interact. And so to me, a metaverse is really just anything where it's an interactive 3D experience where you can, join with your friends and really get immersed into an experience. It doesn't have to be dystopian like Ready Player One, as I used it as the example at the beginning, but it certainly is here today. And a lot of people don't understand that we don't need AR, we don't need VR. It can be a very simple, call it browser-based download. And so, it's here today. We're interacting with today, and it's gonna, I believe, add to our lives.
And where do you see the commercial opportunities here, Lorne?
So, I'll make it really simple. Is as we know it today, the internet, we all tap into the internet for different experiences. I believe, sometime 2 to 4 years from now, the metaverse is going to be the internet, and whereby we'll just refer to the internet as the metaverse, where every single company will have some type of 3D immersive experience. It could be off their browser. It could be in one of these virtual worlds, just like we use social media platforms like Instagram or others today. And you'll interact with it in one shape or another, and everyone will just be part of everyone's day-to-day life today.
Interesting. Okay. So, tell us a little bit about virtual land holdings then.
So virtual land holdings are part of our strategy. We own land in multiple different virtual worlds. But what makes virtual land holdings unique is you as a creator, you as an owner can do whatever you want on these experiences. And so, for example, we're one of the largest holders of Decentraland land today, which is one of these virtual worlds. And we hold something called Metaverse Fashion Week on it. And so we were able to host brands like Etro, Elisab, Dolce & Gabbana, Forever 21, and I know I've forgotten a bunch along the way, where they had these virtual stores, they had avatars, were able to show off their designs, their creations, and people could come and interact, just like they would in a traditional, physical world store. I'm interacting with the clothes, with the wearables. I'm interacting. There was a DJ in the store. All these different type of stuff. And so
Okay,
as a
we're
landowner,
going to hold you right there. We're going to take a brief commercial break. Speaking of retail, and we'll be back to pick up the thread of your conversation right after that. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, here with Lorne Sugarman. He is the CEO of Metaverse. Lorne, you were just sort of explaining to our viewers sort of all the kind of commercial and retail activity, which may be a surprise to people. And I do want you to address this issue as well, because some people are sometimes surprised that people are spending money on things like virtual real estate or fashions or what have you, not in the corporate real world, but in this world that is being created. So if you can address that issue as well.
yeah. So I think the point that I was leaving off of is, as we said, we created all these stores during Metaverse Fashion Week, and they were all on our property. One of the amazing things about Metaverse Fashion Week was that, and commercial sides of it, just like in the real world, is we've taken this land and we've said, okay, just like, I don't know, in call it Northern Ontario or Northern Toronto, where many real estate developers bought real estate many years ago, and today there are big, huge malls and big, huge developments. We bought this land, and just like like the developers in a physical world we believe we need to build things on those and bring people and bring excitement. And so Metaverse Fashion Week was a great example of how those, we brought different events, different companies to the land that we owned, which created value on the land and drove traffic to that land. And similar, where you use the example of why are people buying digital fashion and other things. I think the example, or I would use, is I typically use this all the time. My daughter loves when I say this. Is she dresses me up. She dressed me up today for the TV show and said, well, you should wear a black shirt and you look proper with a collar and all those wonderful good things. So I actually physically care about how I look. And when I'm out at conferences or TV shows or whatever it may be, no different than in the digital world, you're going to care about your physical presence, and you're going to want to personalize what you're wearing and show who your character is or what your character is. And so we've seen that for, as I said, virtual worlds have existed for a long time. We've seen that for a long time, where people cared about the skins that they wore in the game or what they bought, or even, tools that they used in these different games. And I don't see that changing. In fact, I see that even growing. And there's just so many use cases that you can use this physical, digital real estate for. It's mind blowing in my mind.
Yeah. So again, so you've got these digital real estate holdings, and so proximity also matters in the metaverse. It sounds like that you've managed to secure digital real estate, which will, I suppose, because of its location, drive people to those retail properties, and therefore it has a value for other companies. Is that right?
So that is correct. So, again, picking on our fashion district real estate, it's close to roads, it's close to main areas that are important, but it's also in the fashion district into Centraland. So fashion brands want to come and participate in the fashion district. And no different around proximity. We hear from different brands that, they don't want to be beside ABC brand, but they might want to be beside DEF brand. So similar type of characteristics that happen in the physical world are important here around location. Who am I beside? Am I displaying my brand in the right context? How I'd like to display it? Do I want to be with the lifestyle brands, or do I want to be with the ultra luxury brands? Do I want to be, though all those different things matter and still matter in this digital world.
Is it intersecting at all, the metaverse I'm talking about, with AI?
So absolutely. So we all have probably been intrigued with Chat GPT that got a ton of press over the past couple of weeks or a little bit longer. There are certainly opportunities around generative AI and creating the 3D renderings of different items that can be used in the metaverse, whether those are virtual buildings, wearables, other things. There's just so much that you can do with it around AI that will add, what I would say, add to the experiences. But we're at the early days of doing that. As we get better with AI in the 3D world, I could see all of us taking, 2D images and converting them into 3D images using AI. That for
Okay.
sure is the next generation.
Anything big come out of the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas recently?
So CES was obviously, very, it wasn't very, there was lots of metaverse conversation there. There were a bunch of AR devices and a bunch of, call it communication around potential AR applications there. And so I think it was contextually very, very good for the metaverse. There's obviously lots of rumors about Apple and what they're going to do. Really excited to see if they come out with something and what it looks like. TCL came out with what hopefully is a very cost-effective AR set of glasses, and so I'm quite excited about what the AR piece is here.
We're going to take another brief break. And we're back here at Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, here with Lorne Sugarman. He is the CEO of Metaverse. Lorne, obviously, you know as well or better than most, there's been a lot of volatility in crypto, NFTs, and other sort of virtual aspects of our society these days. Can what you're doing with virtual real estate or other things that you're doing, can that be sustained in a market where there seems to be a lot of volatility?
So, most of the, companies that we work with are relatively large brands and corporations. And most of them, frankly, aren't making purchasing decisions around buying, NFTs or crypto tokens, etc. And so they're, for the most part, have not really actively participated in the volatility, but it definitely makes them nervous when they see the volatility in the marketplace and is definitely impacting us from that perspective. Our view is we take a long-term view on this, and so we're okay with the volatility. While just like everyone else, we don't enjoy it, and we wish prices were higher. But we believe this is, a 10-year play, and we're going to be sitting here in 10 years, and our land that we bought today, kind of like buying it. As I use the external parts of Toronto as an example, where if you bought north of the 401 50 years ago, you'd probably be very happy with your purchase, but you probably sat there through different, call it cycles where you weren't so happy with those purchases. So we kind of look at it the same way as, we bought this, we're going to build out these spaces, we're going to create events, we're going to bring great companies and great people to this virtual world who are interested and excited about trying and using it to expand their customer base. And we're okay with the volatility. We're here to stay and build.
And it's not just virtual volatility, of course. It's, of course, where everyone seems to be telling us we might be in a shallow or a deep recession. Nobody really knows what 2023 will hold. And that does affect the retail sector as one of the canaries in the coal mine. But is your experience that they're, again, looking long term, so they're not looking at short-term dips that are happening in the world economy?
Yeah, look, I mean, from the metaverse's perspective, we're a tiny piece of call it that budget, that marketing budget or retail budget associated with these bigger corporations. And so most of them, from what we've still seen and consistently seen through our pipeline, are very interested, are willing to dip their toes in it and take, whether it's their innovation budget or a small piece of their digital marketing budget, and allocate it towards these types of experiences and this type of experimentation. We haven't seen a shift yet and a decline in budgets, so we're optimistic about our pipeline and our growth as a business. But yeah, I would be naive to say to you that I didn't see it and I wasn't worried about it. And certainly we hear it from the brands and corporations that we're talking to as well.
So let's look at the future then. What do you see as the next steps for your development and marketing, those kinds of things?
Yes. So, from the next step is, we continue to build in these different virtual worlds. We are, building out these experiences. What we're trying to do is get more segmented in how we look at it. So, moving from retail to, we think there's a very big opportunity in digital twins. So, for example, for a real estate company, if they have a multi-res type building and they want to show their apartment buildings off and do it in a much more immersive experience than is being done today, those types of things. If you're a condo developer and you want to show what the condo is going to look like, there are some tools like this today, but we believe that this can be a much more immersive, deeper experience. We can actually take those condos and show them how that would look as you build it out, and get a chance for that person that buys that condo to actually see the evolution of their condo.
Right.
You can't always go into these condo buildings, but here you go. Here's a physical, or a digital replica of that as it's getting built. So quite excited about those opportunities. But really what we're trying to do as a business is now take, what we've done is bespoke, we call bespoke builds, and actually create the tools that make it easier for brands and corporations to interact with these digital worlds, to interact with the tools that they would expect, to make this an easy solution for them to use.
And that would be like in the virtual world, but applied to real physical sales then?
So if you go there, we're definitely working with. We're not creating those tools ourselves,
Right.
but we're working with what I would call partners, and so that it certainly we can enable today. And we talk to many people about this. Enable today, where if you wanted to create a virtual store, an immersive 3D metaverse store,
Right.
for example, we can interact with the tools that we have, so that this traditional shirt could be shipped to your home tomorrow.
Gotcha. We're going to continue our discussion, very interesting one, with Lorne Sugarman after this break. And welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, here with Lorne Sugarman. He is the CEO of Metaverse. Lorne, a lot of discussion taking place now about the appropriate balance of a new sector and making sure that it is allowed to grow and allowed to, find its way along. But also, we're in a rules-based society in the real world, and perhaps there should be some rules that exist to protect investors or participants or what have you. So give us your perspective on that and what you see happening in that area.
Yeah, look, I think it's been unfortunate, obviously very unfortunate, about some of the stuff that's happened, whether it's FTX or others. Obviously, those types of things in a regulated environment would have never happened, and that is unfortunate. We didn't have regulation around these centralized entities that should have been regulated. Obviously, I think some regulation is definitely required. We need to grow up as an industry. I think there's so much potential in the blockchain technology, and it's a shame that the industry is being tarnished with the brush of a few. But we've seen this before, where industries do get tarnished, unfortunately, by some bad actors, and ultimately they come through the other side because the right things come to table, whether it is regulation, whether it's proper decentralization, or other items like that make sure that these types of fraudulent events can't happen in the future. So it's saying it's disappointing it's beyond disappointing. But on the flip side, I'm very hopeful that from this we'll learn and we'll come up with better ways to interact and regulate around the industry and come out as a much stronger industry.
I'd like to talk a little bit about moving to mainstream, in the sense that we know that Mark Zuckerberg, for instance, basically has said that he sees the metaverse as the future of kind of human existence in one way or another, that everyone will have a metaverse kind of life. And I'd love to get your thoughts on where society is going on this, how much of our lives will be in the metaverse versus not in the metaverse, those kinds of issues. How mainstream is this going to be?
So, I think we kind of went a little bit full circle, because where we started with, I think, where I was saying my background was around the internet, and the internet is something that we interact with every day. I mean, mobile phone, another great example. I couldn't imagine my life without my mobile phone and banking on it. So I think the metaverse will be the same thing. I think where it gets confusing is people think, well, I'm going to put on my VR glasses every day and I'm going to be completely immersed in the metaverse. I don't see that. And frankly, as I mentioned, as a father of two children, I don't want to see them doing that either, frankly. I think that would be a horrible existence. We all need to be outdoors and enjoy the fresh air. But where I do think it gets really interesting, and where I think it will interact us in our daily lives, is where it adds to our daily lives. It makes the user experience better. So great example is on the e-commerce site. If it makes my shopping experience more pleasurable and more interesting, and I can actually try on that clothes as we move forward, and I don't necessarily have to walk into, certainly for me, I don't love malls, no disrespect to the mall owners, I don't have to run into that, then it's going to make my life better, right? If I can plan out my condo that I'm building in some other part of the world, and I can use the virtual world and I don't have to get on a plane to constantly, deal with it, that makes my life better. And the last piece I'll say is, which is I'm a big believer or proponent of the AR piece, is, instead of walking down the street with your phone, you have a pair of sunglasses on that happen also tell you someone's calling you, and you can jump into a virtual world or interact with your friend who's walking down the street, and you see them as a hologram, and you can kind of interact and have that social interaction that makes an event or something more pleasurable. I think all those types of things where it actually adds to your day-to-day life is where it's going to really evolve and changes. And I think we're all going to be excited and enjoy that.
Yeah, and in a sense, we've got about 30 seconds left, but the pandemic and the lockdown kind of showed us that we do need a little bit of that in our lives, I guess, eh?
I think it definitely accelerated it. I think we all need social interaction, but that ability to social interact in different ways. And frankly, Zoom is not the way to do it. I think there are better ways that make it more interactive and more fun.
Lorne Sugarman, CEO of Metaverse, great to have you on the program. Wish you every success with what you're doing, and certainly a very interesting world that you inhabit.
Thank you, and thank you to your viewers for your time today.
So that was Lorne Sugarman, CEO of Metaverse. Very interesting part of our world that he inhabits in the new meta world that is being created. Great commercial opportunities, and certainly great to know a Canadian company is part of that as well. Thanks for watching today. I hope you found it interesting as I did.